How many years did you stay here for?
It was almost 9 in Bhaktapur, not a single restaurant. No chance to get dal bhat. I survived on Jerry Svarificatia. All dirty words I learned at the football ground. Nevas did not build barns or stables. Therefore, it's another theme. My theory is in the very, very past, they came somewhere from a urban society.
You also got to train the first female football team.
Dev Anand, Dev Anand.
The Dev Anand back
So
then.
I saw Dev Anand. Sukul is more important than any other element.
Why?
Because it keeps the beams together. All the buildings or the rafters would slip down. They are kept by Sukuls in position. So this was what I learned, and because no screw used, no nail.
Shall we start?
Yes.
All right. So let's start how you actually pronounce your name. I want to get it right.
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang
Yes. Korn.
Korn.
Yes.
Wolfgang Korn.
Korn.
That's correct.
This is correct and good.
All right. So you came in Nepal during the 60s, and so you were here in Nepal basically during the 60s and the 70s.
End of the 60s, exactly 7th of January 1968.
Okay. So what made you come here?
Curiosity and the problem to have to join army. That time every young, healthy young man had to join army. And
Back in Germany?
back in Germany.
Okay.
And as long as I studied architecture, I was, saved.
So you mean to say...
After finishing the examination, I got a letter, please join. And that time I already thought, I don't want to join, I don't want to be enforced to live in a tank or whatever type. And I just did not want to fight because of Second World War experiences. I didn't experience, but I was born 1.5 years before the war finished. And after the war, my family had to move from East to West Germany. We have been refugees in our own country for a while. It also means not much of money. And then the parents divorced. So, very simple conditions for children to grow up. And when finishing the school, so we jump back a bit, I didn't know what to do. And I could have been a carpenter or whatever, so I got advice by someone if I want to become draftsman, because he saw that I'm able to sketch and draw. And I just said yes. He took up the phone, and 2 minutes later, I was accepted as apprentice at an architecture office, because the man I asked me rented a room or his flat in architecture office buildings. So I became a draftsman for 3 years. I finished, I should stay with the office. And my mother asked me, do you want to study architecture? And because of social conditions, I thought, how can we don't have money, how to study? I never thought about studying, especially as her income was low, being dhobi, washer, women in an old people's home. We managed. So I joined, and it was, we had to do entrance examination. 200 people, young people, for 30 places only. So much of competition, architecture, sons and daughters, princesses came, so more the upper representations of upper class. But I made it because of 2 posters I prepared for our church for inviting people so and so, but posters. And I remember that the director told, "Oh, Mr. Korn seems to be able to develop in our way of school. It's not engineering. It was an art architecture school based on the idea of Bauhaus." Yes, and for years it was a small, here you would call it college, with the architecture department, interior architecture, pottery, goldsmith, and weaving. So a very strange combination. And we exchanged very much, and it's also visited our friends in the other departments. And the final examination, I selected a title. I wanted to avoid designing a school or a residential building because it would have been too easy for the people valuing it, the professor and teachers. And during a study, I read a book on the German ex-colony of Cameroon, West Africa. And I found it so interesting that I decided, I want to improve their way they build huts with straw roofs and so. And so I called it kind of developing of rural architecture in West Africa. Complete nonsense, as I proposed prefabricated concrete elements. Anyhow, but the way how I built up and collected information, I think impressed the teachers, so I got good marks. And it might have been in a private talk with the director. He said, "What are you doing afterwards?" Maybe he wanted to have me in his office. And I said, "I have to join army." "You don't go to army." I said, "I have to. We find a way." And he was government employee. He wrote a letter to the army telling Mr. Wolfgang Korn is doing an extra semester. There never has been an extra semester. And this half year I used to apply with German Volunteer Service for West Africa. And they wrote back, "No place, but do you want to go to Nepal?" I knew not much, maybe Kathmandu and Everest, because the only books I could find later on Nepal have been mountaineering books, nothing about culture. Anyhow, we had 3 months of, information with the German Volunteer Service, but nothing about Nepal, only India. Yeah? And that means, and I like to call it, I came or put my right foot onto Nepali soil completely innocent. Innocent concerning religion, way of life, and what would expect me. And I had the good luck that being the first architect in Nepal with a building department. You had the private, but most of them have been engineers. They called themselves architect, but I think all of them have been engineers trained abroad. I joined, or was asked to join, the town planning office, where the Austrian Karl Pruchard has been the main man in charge as UNDP official, doing or planning to do Kathmandu Valley development program. And he decided we cannot do all Kathmandu, we do valley planning. And to do planning of the valley, we need to know all sacred sites, where they are, what is found there. And so the Nepalese engineers, at that time mainly Newar, having been trained in Russia and India, have been asked I should head them. But no one liked to leave office, being engineer. So my team has been the driver of the Jeep, Russian Jeep, and me. And we have been told where to go. Of course, I didn't know the name or place, the driver knew. So I measured, prepared the plan, kind of site plan, took 2 photos, and went to the next one. Not much of studying.
So, if you can recall, before landing in Nepal, what was your expectations like? Because you didn't get to read any book about the culture and religion, and that's a very huge important part of the, part of Nepal. So did you have any expectations in mind?
I think I was very naive, but curious. And the questions I miss very often with my family and here with young people, they accept too easily to do this and that. They don't ask why and how have been buildings came up. So I was eager to learn. I did not have any expectation. And being a volunteer, getting a room paid in a house with 4 other volunteers, getting a cycle and having enough money, not much if you compare to so-called experts, but enough money to survive properly. It was after my, poor upcoming, the first positive experience, I'm free. And I realized about work starting at 10 o'clock in winter time, it was impossible to us, so late, until 4 o'clock in summer, 10 to 5. And I think I just felt well. But I didn't have many expectations because I didn't know anything. And getting the chance to go around and not to study, but to get into contact to traditional architecture.
Okay.
I was eager to learn.
So you stayed here for quite a while. For how many years did you stay here for?
It was almost 9 with some breaks, but the contract was for 2 years. And I was prepared to leave after 2 years.
So in the original contract, you had to escape the draft. That's why you came here for 2 years originally.
Yes.
And the plan was to go back?
Yes.
And join the draft, or you would be excused?
No, we could not extend that time.
No, I mean, let's say you had finished 2 years here and gone back.
I would have gotten a ticket and would have flown back.
And you would have to join the army again? Or no?
No,
would you be excused?
Because during those 2 years, doing social service for different organizations was kind of an escape from army. I wouldn't have to join army again.
So that means a lot of people would try to get involved in all these projects, right? Because my assumption is most people would not want to get into the army.
At that time, it was common.
Okay.
So not very much of thinking, because you knew you have to. Some people and influential people try to escape and getting sick, or the doctor signed something. But I would say 90% of the young people above the age of 18 joined. My brother even joined for 2.5 years.
So it was the army. Excuse me if I'm
Yes.
focusing a bit more on this part because I'm curious.
Yes.
Was it for a short period of time that you had to join an army, like a mandatory service? We've heard in many countries it's for a year, it's for 2 years.
Yes.
After a certain age, or was it for the army thing that your life was going to be an army life
No,
after that?
only to be, say, prepared if a
Okay.
war would
Okay.
come.
That makes
and
sense.
that we can be drawn because
Right.
we know a bit, say, how to behave and should. Yeah.
Right. So that means you would have to be on standby,
Kind of.
kind of in a way.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what was the situation like during then? Because a lot of times what we see is, normally nobody would want to get into a war or a conflict or anything as such. But things like, there's this machinery of media or influential people who would influence people or say that it's people's duties or in a way they would motivate people to join. Was there something like a campaign of such sort?
I mean, so-called new social media just did not exist.
Yeah.
We read newspapers,
Yeah.
neutral newspapers, not from a party or so. Same with radio, and TV came quite late.
Okay, so there was no TV during the early 60s.
It started, I think,
Okay.
but we didn't have
Okay.
a screen or
yeah.
so. Yeah. So we had to read to learn. And because of the Second World and Hitler's rule,
The book, that's why you're allergic to that book.
right, yes. What is the name? The winner teams, France, British, and many
The Allies?
Americans.
Were they the
Yes,
Allies? The Allies,
God,
right,
I
yeah.
didn't find the word.
Yeah.
They wanted to keep, say, Germany controlled.
Mm-hmm.
So they made basic laws telling everyone is same. Everyone should do this and that. So very strict rules that no Hitler would be able to appear again. Yeah. So I think it was quite regulated, but really everyone had the chance. And you heard that I came from a very poor section of society. Even now, maybe in Nepal, you would not have a Dhobi becoming a president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the life was simpler concerning getting informations, and I told that I could not find in the city of 200,000 inhabitants a book on Nepal.
Okay.
Yeah, and so a daily newspaper. Till now, every morning my wife and me, read newspaper. Of course, we have TV and so, but reading is kind of reflection, and we can stop or turn back. Therefore, we are also we read books. Of course, I look TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I select, and the government channels are maybe a bit boring, but they bring not many fake news or advertise. I hate advertisement, and the private, how you call them, channels.
Yeah.
Channels. They live from advertisement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and therefore I'm more the fan of, say, government programs and channels.
So when you flew here in Nepal and landed for the first time, what was your initial thought like once you landed at the airport and you started getting out of the airport and started seeing a bit of the city?
I have to go 3 days back.
Okay.
We flew Lufthansa, not many airlines that
Lufthansa
time.
was still there back then.
Lufthansa had an office in Annapurna Hotel
Wow.
for some time.
Wow.
And I don't know how many flights to Delhi. We had to stay 2 nights at the Ashoka Hotel, that time the best in Southeast Asia.
It was
Delhi,
in India? Delhi, okay.
Delhi, Ashoka Hotel. And of course, we tried to walk to Old Delhi. It was outside. And leaving the 5-class or 7-class hotel, look, we entered it, and servant here, servant there, a bathroom large as a living room. So we filled, everyone got his own room. The bathing tube, 1 hour in hot water. Yeah, going to the dining room, one pushed the chair under our knee. So, how to say, way of life, I think all of us never experienced, and I also didn't like, but of course the selection of food. And then we left the hotel, and there was construction going on, seeing small children carrying bricks, and the poorest of the poor. So this was the first shock. Then we took a taxi to Old Delhi, and it was the first time to realize that we haven't been poor at home, that this is a complete different level. Yeah, the smell, the stink, yeah.
So समरमा खतरा बडी चाहिन्छ भनेपछि this is the right time for you to start going to the gym. र अहिलेको लागि तपाईले जिम जाने हो भनेर तपाई बिगिनर हुनुहुन्छ भनेपछि प्लिज डु कन्सिडर द फिजिक वर्कशप. हामीहरु बिगिनर्सलाई कम्प्लिटली फुल टाइम ट्रेनरहरुले कस्टमाइज्ड वर्कआउट डायट प्लानदेखि लिएर फुल अन गाइडेन्स दिनुहुन्छ तपाईको गोल अनुसारले तपाईको बडी अनुसारले. सो बिगिनर्सहरुलाई एकदमै सजिलो हुन्छ र त्यो हिचकिचाहट हुने इन्भाइरोमेन्ट पनि हामीहरुमा छैन. सो इट्स कम्फर्टेबल फर बिगिनर्स. र त्यो सँगै हामीहरुको मल्टिपल ब्रान्चेसमा छ कुमारीपाटी, मैदेवी, बानेश्वर र महाराजगञ्ज. एउटा मेम्बरशिप लिनुभयो भने जुन ब्रान्चमा जाँदाखेरि पनि हुन्छ. एन्ड अन टप अफ द्याट अहिले हाम्रो चाहिँ 2 days फ्री ट्रायल छ. द्याट मिन्स तपाईँ आउनुहोस्, वर्कआउट गर्नुहोस्, कन्सल्टेसन लिनुहोस्. तपाईँलाई चित्त बुझेन भने जोइन नगर्दाखेरि पनि हुन्छ, केही पनि एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज लाग्दैन. द फिजिक वर्कशप नम्बर्सहरु तल स्क्रिनमा छ. डु चेक इट आउट एन्ड दिस इज द पर्फेक्ट टाइम फर यु टु स्टार्ट योर फिटनेस जर्नी. नाउ ब्याक टु द पडकास्ट.
The crowds of people fighting for place and this and that, and hygiene, and we got our cultural shock in Old Delhi. And of course we wanted to drink also tea, being thirsty. We have been bought no water. So we got tea, and I let the tea run over my thumb, so not to be forced to touch the glass. Yeah?
What do you mean?
Yeah. How you call it?
What do you mean, like not touch the glass? Oh, so you see
With the lips. Yeah, we are
with
not.
the lips. Oh, yeah.
This we learned in Nepal. To drink like this.
Yeah.
I would
With
sweat. I would make my pullover even now wet because I can't drink Nepali way.
You mean to say because it's still prevalent today. I mean, like if you're drinking with a larger container, you cannot like touch it with your mouth. But then they used to have glasses back then, which you could like directly sip off of.
But over there, we didn't know about the rule.
Okay.
Yeah. I only thought because of dirty glass.
Okay.
I don't want to touch the glass.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it was good, and it was even in winter time, say the first days of January, we felt uncomfortable. Or someone came, a beggar or very poor, oh, shoe dirty. I knew we had proper shoes. So someone had, how to say, thrown dirt onto our shoes so that his partner could earn money cleaning. And you need money, or even women attacked need love. And so, so our cultural shock we got in Old Delhi.
Okay.
Returned home, took to Ashoka, took shower. So, it was good to have. And 2 days, because there was no daily connection flight, we had to wait for Royal Nepal Airlines.
Yeah.
I think a plane taking only 36 or so passengers. So the first Nepali I met was a male steward. Not beautifully dressed women. And
did they have female stewardess back then?
Not in the first years I experienced.
Okay, so in Nepal Airlines back
In
then there used to
Royal
be
Nepal
Royal
Airlines.
Nepal Airlines. Okay, yeah.
And we got only some sweets and some cotton for the ears.
Well, I remember that because my every single time one of my relatives would fly, I mean like locally or domestically, they would bring me those candies.
Yes,
Yeah.
candy, but for the ears also
Cotton balls. Yeah.
And we have been almost, it was cloudy over the Kathmandu Valley, and then the pilot said, sorry, we cannot land because not equipment.
It's not visible, yeah.
We flew back to Patna, had to leave the plane and survive at the airport there. And I was shocked about the red color at the ground and at the walls. How to know about pan? Later I learned it. Spitting around. And
What did you think it was? Did you think it was
I
blood?
didn't know. I thought blood, but it can't be that people run around.
With bloody mouth?
Yeah, and no one to ask.
Yeah.
And, or we didn't dare to ask. And suddenly, oh, come quickly, there's a hole in the clouds. So we jumped into the plane and came here, and the pilot really made it. And that time, the runway was shorter.
You mean the one that we have right now? It was shorter.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that time you could walk from Dili Bazaar to the backside of Sanu Timi. Only by the extension, this road was cut, and the new Chinese road, how we call it, was constructed.
Okay.
Anyhow.
So before there was like a direct road connecting
From Dili Bazaar to
Sanu Timi.
Timi, yes.
And then the airport came about, and then the road was curved.
Extended in this direction because direction Boudha you could not extend
right.
because Holy River, Bagmati.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I had the window seat, and you will see, is a photo of Boudha here?
Boudha photo.
One of the first Boudha.
He'll bring it up, yeah. He'll bring it up. Okay.
Should we wait that?
No. Let's talk. Let's keep talking.
And how can I know what a stupa is? I only saw a white dome surrounded by barren fields at time because it was winter.
So you had no idea what stupa was? I mean, like, I'm just trying to understand because you studied architecture, but
European
architecture.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Asia at that time was far away, very exotic.
Okay.
Yeah, and the country, I think, Tunisia, North Africa, I flew once to, also measured buildings, but private tour. But I never went to Turkey at that time, so far away.
Yeah. Because Turkey has dome-shaped architecture.
Right. And that time, no migrant worker. Not one. Yeah. So it was, therefore I wrote the book too, to explain how life has been, say, 55 years ago. And we have been picked up by the representative of German Volunteer Service in a jeep, and we just looked, and the office was at, I think, Baneshwar. So we only passed through kind of modern Kathmandu.
Is this the one?
No, this came later. Only Boudha stupa within fields.
It's not there apparently. Do we have it in the book?
It's in the book, but I don't know if he sent it.
No, I don't think he sent it. It's not there, I guess. It's in the book that you brought along?
Yes.
Can we get the book? Can we show the book actually?
Why not?
Yeah, sure. I think it'll be around the time this podcast is going to be released. Your book is coming out as well, right? When is the book coming out?
Saturday already.
This Saturday already.
So the question is if you can make a short advertisement or so.
Yeah. So this is the book. Can you tell me about the book? Yeah. All right.
No, I show you.
Let's use this camera. I think let's show it to the audience as well. That's Boudha, the one on the left.
Boudha.
The one on the left,
yes.
Right? Okay. Can you just bring it up for this camera? Just a little higher. Take so.
My Brahmin.
All right, so probably like he'll put it later. Okay.
Oh, the book,
Okay.
yes.
Yep. So that so this is the book we're discussing about, right?
Yes.
You shared your experiences in this book.
Right. Not as an architect. We use the title Lines because I became famous because of handing over my measured drawings of Kastamandap after the earthquake to the mayor, free of cost.
The one that happened in 2015, after 2015.
The measurement was done in 70,
Okay.
yeah, and I wanted to come and help Rohit after earthquake. I could not land because 2 days after the earthquake, the airport was not yet open.
Yeah.
So I had to wait a month. And, okay, we jumped to this. Niels Gutscho or Rohit asked me if I would have the measurements, the sketches of the measurements, as in my book, I don't see it here, the traditional architecture of the Kathmandu Valley. I showed sectional elevations, but only a small scale, not how much overhang dimensions of walls and posts and so on. If I would have the sketches and with the measurements of quite a lot of buildings. I said no, at home I could not find. So when I came again, I think this was May, in November or January next year, I came back, and 2 days before the flight, I found an envelope with sketches of 4 temples. Why I kept them, I don't know, because I threw most of the stuff away as I thought of no value. Yeah, and I left all my original drawings on tracing paper with NAA, Nepal Architecture Archive, because I thought at home of no value. So we could take the originals, go to a copy shop or scannings, to original scale the drawings, and I added each and every measurement to those drawings. So, and hand it over to the mayors, and that means Kastamandap, Chanarain of Patan, Majudega, and in Bhaktapur, the stone temple, Vatsala Durga, have been rebuilt 100% to scale.
Wow.
Yeah, and especially for Kathmandu Valas, Kastamandap is the most important building.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be hero, but suddenly I experience, oh, you are Mr. Korn, and yeah, you saved the architecture in Nepal. Yeah, but and this is also the book, Guided by Gods. Certain things happen to go to Nepal, to be able to measure earthquake, to hand over. So I'm not a religious-minded man, but looking back, I think many happenings or events completely unplanned. They happened, and I grabbed the chance. Yeah.
Can I take the conversation to a bit different direction?
Yes.
I mean, you're not very religious, right? But then do you believe in universe and things happen for a reason and things like that? Or do you feel like everything is, random things happen and we may try to make meaning out of it?
I don't believe in a special God. And the Christian church, the same with Buddhism and Hinduism, after their founders, Buddha taught, he never thought, I'm a God, I'm a teacher. Jesus Christ never told he is a God, but the followers created a church and legends around him. So I don't believe also in your hundreds or thousands of gods who did what, and your gods are very human, fighting each other, having different women. Also, no, it's, how to say, it's a bit difficult. I only believe in things I see or can touch.
No, I
but
100%
somehow,
yeah.
I don't know if souls can come back, rebirth.
Reborn.
Yeah. Here in Nepal, you had 10 million inhabitants that time. Now 3 times more. From where could the souls come?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they got children or what? No, it's. I would say I would
Do you believe
have
in
been a kind of Buddhist, thinking that everyone is really same. We should help each other, or say be a social, show a social behaving, and not arrogantly going around. It
But-
might be part of religion too, how you care and see your neighbor.
But I mean, like, apart from religion, because I don't, as such, call myself a very religious person. My family is.
Yes.
But then I have a feeling that there are certain things which might not be religious, but then there are things in the universe that happens, and they might have some sort of. It's not completely random. That's something I feel like at times, events happen, and they make sense of it.
And therefore, in my speech at the book launching, I try and need help who will find the proper words, that things happened somehow in the right direction. Yeah? And so how to call it? Yeah?
It's strange.
It's yes. But it's very strange sometimes. I think about someone and suddenly the phone rings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? And then how come?
Do you believe in seeing random patterns of numbers that a lot of people believe in? For example, 1111 or some sorts of those things.
Not so very much. I only believe that, no. I think that, yeah, it's very complicated. You start,
Yeah.
I think an uneven number is maybe of more value, being the center and having to the left and right, I don't know, 1 or 1,000 other numbers. Yeah, and maybe sometimes you need a central idea which you widen up or so.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Jimoshu.
All right. Let's get back onto our topic of. So, what was your impression like when you landed here? Let's get back to it.
This made me curious, but driving through a kind of modern suburb of Kathmandu was of not so much interest.
Was it kind of modern for that time?
No, if you see the oldest houses now at Dili Bazaar, 2-storied, 3-storied, yeah, and in many villages you still see them. It was the level of that time that a few richer people could buy concrete building, Indian style, flat roofs. But I didn't know about the Nepali style yet. And our house has been in Lasipat, that means also modern. And we have been very pleased to have water and electricity. And then, late afternoon, I think it was a driver and a volunteer who has been there already a year or so, but not stationed in Kathmandu, said we want to see old Kathmandu.
So that was the first day, very first day that you arrived here. Okay.
And we went to the new road is modern, so not too impressive. We have been told this is Nepal Bank where you get the money later. And we walked around Hanuman Dhoka, as I remember, and it got slowly dark, so it was quite mystical. You know, the towers of the palace, Kumari house, we only heard, oh, living goddess. How can I know what a living goddess is? So we got around the temple, and suddenly the guide got quicker because of the erotic carvings on, I think, Jagannath.
Yeah.
Yeah?
What was that for
We
you?
only
Like for you?
appeared. No, we haven't had time to study, but we went the next day alone.
I mean, like, did you encounter something like that in India? Because you were there for a very short time.
No, not yet.
No,
not
okay.
yet. No idea. And in India, it's more. Later, I learned temples separated from towns. When they've been built long ago, there was a city, but now they're isolated somewhere in the countryside. No, and we went to Indrachok and direction Assam. And suddenly we felt we are in what we call Orient. Yeah? Oriental atmosphere, noisy, no car. One moment. Rickshaws, we didn't know about rickshaw.
So there were rickshaws back then as well.
Back then, yeah.
How common was it?
We used it quite often.
Okay.
Taxis too expensive.
That was like the main mode of transportation?
In the center of Kathmandu.
Okay.
I think in Patan I never have seen one. And Asantol. And this was crazy. We detailed somewhere and just watched, because it was a center of town with all the dealings and so. And we went through and have been picked up by the jeep again.
So we were just talking about this picture. So that was the only mode of communication back then, through letters.
Through letters, and therefore I show the aerogram. The other?
This one?
No, the other one. This one here.
Okay.
And the problem has been sending a letter and dropping or leaving it with the National Post Office, or how it was called. It still exists. Most of the letters never left Kathmandu.
Okay, they were
You know
lost.
why?
Why?
The officials took the stamps off to double their income.
Okay.
So we have been told, and here this was pre-printed. So you could not do, but you could not write long. And later, and we have been told, if you sent a letter with nice stamps, because I had collectors at home, next photo, and I went with a letter envelope or this letter to post office and forced the administrator to cancel each stamp so that they lose the value. Yeah, a stamp value you can't sell again. Yeah, and send it. Yeah, and this was the safest way, keeping contact and being quite sure that you get an answer.
So back then, was telephone not a common thing, or was telephone not a thing at all? It didn't exist at all. Not even in Europe.
Maybe, yes, we had.
Okay.
But maybe only the embassies and the very rich had ways, but not common people.
Right. You couldn't pay someone to use the telephone as a service? No, okay. It wasn't available for the public at all?
No.
Okay. All right. So
in the beginning, not.
What happened, like the first, we're still on the first day. And then you see these things?
We went home and next to our house at Lasimpat, there was a small shop. We went to buy white bread, cheap Indian marmalade, jam, and I think we got a bit butter. And this was our evening meal. Proud that we, got something to eat. And next day we went again with someone from volunteer service to do shopping. But it was the market. We lived from market. We could not buy, as volunteers, imported stuff as experts could do, or embassy people.
So where did they have the imported stuff? Did you have to go to special shops for imported stuff?
I would not get into. They would ask me for my passport,
But were there special shops just for people who had permit to buy
Yes,
imported
I
stuff?
just try. It was national trading.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Do you know the place?
Birganj?
No. They had
Because they have national trading in a city called Birganj.
now.
Yeah.
No, on the way to Singapore, the large, broad highway, 4 or 5 lanes, that time. Beneath of it, you have kind of walls and construction, not solid. And this has been the office and the store of national trading.
Okay.
No chance.
No chance.
So, and therefore we very early asked for, it's always, I don't want to say servant, but someone to care. Cleaning we did in the beginning ourselves, but it was always female. She knew where to get what. So she went shopping. When we decided, can you try to get potatoes? In the beginning, difficult. But rice and vegetable, also, she did the shopping somewhere around. Yeah. And we later learned to do it ourselves. But why should we do? Only by special connections. When I've been member of athletic team here, which we founded, 2 members have been the owners or sons of the owner of the fresh house behind Nepal Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And now I tell you a secret. In the beginning, only normal food and meat. And one day, one of the sons told me, if you want gaiko masu, you ask for deer meat. So it
That
was
was like
available.
a cheat code.
No, it was.
It was available, but then it was it like a secret code?
No, it was really
Okay.
gaiko masu.
Okay.
Maybe from the south. Because I thought, where are all the male, say the bulls going? Here you keep only cows. There must be bulls. And I think they have been brought south and slaughtered.
Okay. So
Some.
okay. All right. So
Anyhow, so we really, and I did not want to bribe someone and invest money to get imported food. Yeah. And and when I got invitation to ambassador or to rich Nepali, then the food was better. Yeah. But I would say 90%, 95% of our dishes have been really locally made and simple.
all right. I think we should start with the pictures itself because his laptop
Yes.
is dying. The battery of his laptop is dying. So let's cover the pictures and then we'll go back again.
This was a bit later in the 70s because you see the cars when the first Toyotas came. And for me, as an architect, I didn't realize at that time that we call it Rana type of plastering all buildings and painting them white, the timber black or colorful. And much later, and I think it was the influence also of Karl Pruchard, building only in bricks, showing bricks, walls unplastered, that all the plaster of most of the buildings have been taken off. Yeah. So the impression of the places, also Hanuman Dhoka, it has been white. Yeah. And this was one of the first days in Rajok towards Asand. And you see the people cycled or walked and look at the dresses. And this was my motor car with 2 wheels.
That's you?
Yes.
How old were you in this picture?
25.
Wow, okay.
Yes, 25 exactly. Winter time. Yeah. And we had, and this has been also winter. And it's Bhaktapur.
This is Bhaktapur.
From outside, but already maybe 72, because a so-called Chinese road has been built. So we could cycle up here and take the photo. Try to take it now. You only will have concrete buildings 5-story high in front of you.
You told earlier that the road of Bhaktapur was covered with red chilies
In winter time.
in winter time. Tell me
Yes.
about it. I mean, like, was it a very important thing, chili?
No, I think it showed also the rice harvest. Drying was not only outside certain places, but at each and every free corner, the people dried their harvest. And the chili I mentioned, because it was not only the color, but the smell, the whole atmosphere, warmth, walking through, difficult to walk through, that people lived outside. And maybe you find the photo with a family living on straw and sukuls and so on. Oh, I will look. No.
I'm not sure if there's a picture of it.
At least there was no car inside. And the connection between, say, Bhaktapur, Sanu, Timi to Banipa must have been on the backside on a very small, and I think it still exists, earthen path. Because I drove last year, not the main way, because it was blocked because of construction, they took the old way, I think, to Nala and so on.
Okay.
So what was the question?
No, we're just going through the pictures first. And then we'll get back to our
I
conversation.
realized that in the villages we did not go first, that there's a vast difference that time between Bhaktapur and Kathmandu, and the kind of modern development pattern was in between. But we have been surprised that Bhaktapur, so nearby to Kathmandu, had this very different, level of development.
You mean Bhaktapur and Kathmandu?
Between Bhaktapur and Kathmandu.
And Kathmandu.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to focus a little bit on your earlier days here, because I want to understand, like, more than, I mean, we'll discuss what was happening here, but then how you felt about things. I'm like, how was it for you?
And I think with an engineer partner,
Yeah.
we slowly, found our way, did a side trip here. Someone brought us to Pashupati, but on our own to find back. Yeah, so we expanded or took our wings slowly to learn about, but we have not been shown much around. We just have been left, say, to Kathmandu area. And by learning or having to do the work for building department, going to the sites, yeah, and we had very simple, say, maps. I learned more and more about, say, building culture, how people lived, and so I got deeper and deeper, but not planning to write a book.
Okay.
And because of that, after 2 years before leaving, I was asked by Mary Slosser and Gautam Bhattacharya, he was her partner. He's now professor, doctor in America. If I would be willing to work for them and measure buildings for Slosser's book. But now we do a jump. Yeah? I said yes, without thinking much. So after the 2 years for the volunteer service, and I only told Mary, I need some money to survive. I didn't want. And she said, okay, I try. And then she asked me after a week or so, are $500 enough? I thought for 6 months. Per month.
It was a large amount of money back then.
And that time, $1, 4 marks. Suddenly, I earned 15 times more than for the volunteer. So I didn't say no, but I did not do the work for money. She offered, so I accepted. And before I haven't been inside. You can't go just inside a monastery, Bahar also, or temple, anyhow, not. She and Gautam selected first Chusya Bahal, because except the shrine, I just could climb around and do undisturbed. No one would complain. Kastamandap was the second under government control, and it was high, so Madan Man Singh Tamraka helped me, whom I knew from building department. I call it building department, maybe it had another complicated name. And then Gautam proposed Marjudega, the highest on the huge plinth at Hanuman Dhoka, as no one went there for praying. Many temples built by Mala kings don't have close connection to Newar religious people. You got your own gods, private gods, family gods, but no one went to Digutaleju or so.
Okay.
And so Marjudega was selected. I never have been inside. And no one should see me getting through a small hole. And I had to bribe, I would say nowadays with 100 rupees, at time 10 or 5, a squatter family living around and with Shiva Lingam. No one disturbed them. And to look away, so I bribed them. I had a ladder of this height made of bamboo, because I couldn't bring a long one. People would have seen it. And then I learned that it was really a shock or surprise to realize that inside those empty, I didn't know that the towers above the shrine are empty. Yeah, that the towers have been kept together by a kind of wooden skeleton. And this skeleton I could use to climb. So every 6 feet or 5 feet, I had one beam, and so I could measure. It may be very dirty, 400 years of dust and pigeon shit, yeah, but it was of interest. No one disturbed me, I could do. And the most difficult part was to measure the overhang of the roof. So one day I brought maybe a 6 feet or 2 meter long bamboo, fixed my measuring stick, climbed again, looked down if one would look through a small window, someone would see me, and push the bamboo outside until it hit a beam or so. And the third building, but the second temple has been Charnarayan of here.
Changunarayan.
No,
Charnarayan, yeah.
Of Patan Durbar Square. It was a bit easier and to climb and do, and I had experience. And second or third day, when I left the temple, a boy, kind of beggar, attacked me. You go upstairs. I said, I know, go upstairs. You go upstairs. How you know? I saw your shoe print in the dust. Yes, very clever guy. Yeah? And so I continued with mud and putties and so on. It developed. But the beginning was the most interesting because it was new to me. Yeah?
The architecture was very new?
Completely. And how the construction, to learn that, but this came later, that for me, the Sukul, the small wooden peg, is more important than any other element.
Why?
Because it keeps the beams together. All the buildings or the rafters would slip down. They are kept by Sukuls in position. Yeah. So this was what I learned, and I because no screw used, no nail.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got more into detail. Yeah, and so I became kind of expert. And after half of 6 months working for Mary Slosser, the contract was done. They've been pleased with the result. They also did not know what to get from me, how I would be able to climb. They didn't know that it's possible to climb without ladder. I think I went for 3 months home, and then 2 or 3 small research projects for German organizations followed. And one of this has been, you have to look, but I think it was 1972 that Crown Prince Birendra married. And the German embassy or government decided not to present a golden gun to hunt elephants or I don't know what, or a Mercedes car, but 100,000 mark, 1 lakh of mark, was much of money.
1970.
He says
72, I think.
He says it was 1970.
70?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it's possible. But he didn't get the money, only a paper stating has to be used for the renovation of a historic building. So in 72, I was asked to measure, and they had selected Pujahari Mat in Bhaktapur. I don't know who selected, as the most important Hindu priest house, I think, of Nepal. And so I had to go to Bhaktapur in the beginning by, say, the minibuses, but later with, no trolley was not existing, but by trolley bus came later, but by larger bus on the new Chinese road. And having to walk inside. And I think I had to go 2-3 months because I wanted to show what I'm able to do. Very detailed drawings. They're always NAA at Tarragon as a basis for renovation. And a funny, how to say, incident. For 2 days, no chance to get a seat or chance to go by bus to Bhaktapur. But
why? It was.
I want to tell, but being a bit stronger than others, I made it. And below Dattatreya, the plaza was filled with 10,000 of people. Everyone wanted to go. So I asked, what is going on? Dev Anand is here for the shooting of the film.
Dev Anand.
Dev Anand,
Oh,
Dev Anand.
The Dev Anand back
So
then.
I saw Dev Anand. Yeah.
Was he like the biggest star back then?
I didn't know, but I learned about.
Have you heard about Rajesh Khanna? I think he belongs to the similar era. Was he?
Maybe no, but
Okay.
Dev Anand and all Kathmandu Wallas who have known contact to films wanted to see him for, what is it, not Hare Krishna film? What was the real title? But I learned the song Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and Rama Rama, and whatever. Yeah.
Did you know that he was banned from wearing a black suit in public?
No, I only know that the film crew had problems, that even the temple, the steps of Majudega, and filming inside Dattatreya, Kastamandap, but by royal order,
It's also okay.
by royal order, they got the permission, and you see it was a film with hippies included,
Yeah.
with stealing.
Yep.
I think never done by hippie, but by Nepali experts who knew the value of certain elements to be sold abroad. So I experienced this, and I saw it, and I thought, how can you make a film surrounded by 10,000 Nepalis on steps and out of windows.
That's more water.
But I saw them only dancing.
Okay, so it was for the dance.
Yes.
But getting back to you about the earlier thing.
One word to Bhaktapur.
Dev Anand was actually banned from wearing a black suit because he had so many female fans. And it was actually passed as I think, direct order from the court itself. Because he had a lot of crazy female fans. And one of the fans jumped off of a building or something like that. And then following the event, the High Court, I think, banned Dev Anand from ever wearing a black suit or something like that in public.
This I didn't hear, but I only was surprised about the crowds following him.
Yeah, it was crazy. It must have been crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. And back to Bhaktapur and food supply. In Bhaktapur, not a single restaurant.
Okay.
No chance to get dal bhat. I survived on Jerry Svarificatia in a shop near Dattatreya. Yeah, and I went there 2 years ago and I showed the photo. The shop still exists, but of course the owner is a grandson or whatever. And we come to the title, the theme, food. Even in Kathmandu, no Nepali food to get, only Tibetan restaurants, and later, of course, it developed. Yeah, it was very difficult to eat outside.
I mean, like, so you had to cook your own meal, and that was the only way to eat. That's what I would assume.
Yeah,
right?
no, we went, say, to the Tibetan, and when Freak Street grew, yeah, then it changed, but also the first restaurants have been Tibetan restaurants.
Okay.
And Tukpa and Momo was good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get any kind of shock from the food?
Not from the Tibetan.
Okay. Because it was milder on the stomach, right?
Yes, and we got a spoon or a fork to eat.
Oh, yeah. Dal bhat is a whole different story.
Yes, a long story. But how to say, we have been still not very much experience on, or no experience on Nepali or Newar food. And when I got invitations 3-4 months after joining building department, Madan Man, and I like to mention his name because he became my best friend, invited me. He was not full engineer yet. Asked me if I would come to his marriage party at Freak Street, George Toll, somewhere in the courtyard. I asked, okay, I come, dressed probably even with a tie, because volunteer service said we have to take one, how to say, set of proper dresses. And I found his place going through a kind of tunnel. I've been in time, 5 o'clock. Not knowing that it was too early. So I was asked in the first floor, not in the real living quarter, first floor, Madan's room. And no one except Madan spoke English. So I got, I think, even a chair. And after a few minutes, they came with, maybe his mother, with one hard-boiled egg, fried in torikotel, along with a, I think it's salinja, or how you call it, a clay bowl with Aila. Okay, tasted well, was okay. After 10 minutes or 12 minutes, I still have been the first. One more egg and one more Aila. When I was asked down to the courtyard, after 1 hour, I climbed downstairs, a very narrow barang. I was filled up with 5 or 6 hard-boiled eggs and 5 or 6 bowls of Aila.
Were you drunk?
I think I have been, but what to do? And then I had to learn to sit on a Sukul along with 50 people in a courtyard, and with a leaf plate, everything very traditional at that time. Had to sit cross-legged, but as a sportsman I could do. And then the food came. And we have been told at home, we must empty the plate.
Mm-hmm.
How to do? As soon you ate a bit, someone came and filled up. And I had to learn to eat. I didn't know about jujudai, but about yogurt with the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
I was not able to mix properly. To eat the long-leaved saag.
Mm-hmm.
But the worst part, and the taste was bad, was jelly type of meat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you say, oh yeah, I forgot the name. But this, I just didn't like. The greenish stuff, soft, and I really tried to be polite and eat. And the problem has been to, what is it, Petromax lamps.
Mm-hmm. Is it this one? Is it this one?
This looks much too bad. Too good. It came from a big clay pot.
Okay.
And I learned later it was meat boiled, put into the big pot, and kept for something like this 14 days or so to get to the special. Okay.
All right. Okay.
And everyone could watch me because I had one Petromax in front of me.
What did you have?
Petromax, the lamp, the lightning. There was no electric light.
Okay.
The Petromax was a lamp, gas lamp.
Okay.
You had to...
The green lamp?
It was not green, I don't know.
Okay.
But with pressure, you had to get the gas into the lamp and it's fired.
Yep. Something like this one?
Exactly. The right one here.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
So 50 people watching me.
Uh-huh.
And I just, how to say, really felt sick and drunk, and I tried to eat full up to here. And then I really realized that people started to leave, eat and go. And then I thought, maybe I can do it too, because at home, it's different. You eat, and then you have conversation and sit together for small talk.
Yeah.
That means the problem is to get rid of the guests.
Mm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And here it's opposite.
You just come, eat, and then go. Leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got up, had my cycle, and I think I was drunk. Yeah. And I realized going via New Road to the crossing with what we called Kingsway, one police in night over there. I knew them all because of driving very often. Greeting him, going like this, and he greeted me back. So I survived, but I've been 2 days sick. I think not because of wrong food or dirty food. It was too much and too pyro and too strange.
Was that your first time being exposed to spicy
really
food?
Exposed to, say, local food, very much spiced, and then strange to the alcohol. Yeah.
What do you think about the alcohol? Aren't you used to alcohol back at home?
Of course, I liked the Aila, but at a certain point, I knew I have to get home.
Yeah.
I would like to have been able to know the word gata gata and keep the hand.
Gata gata.
Gata gata.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I learned much about different dishes. Some I even liked, but the very pure stuff not. And I didn't learn to eat it. But how to say, for a few weeks, I did not accept invitations. Yeah, because I first had to get used to it and learn how to behave. Yeah.
It was more of a cultural aspect of it as well. I mean, like the things that you...
about, say, food and how to behave and sit for 1 hour cross-legged.
Oh, yeah. I still cannot do that.
I learned it.
So you also told me that you learned how to reject certain kind of food. So that trick, I think the people should know.
It took 4 years.
It took you 4 years.
Out of the 7 years.
So for the first 4 years, you were eating everything that you were given.
I was trying to eat.
Wow.
But I learned if there was boat outside that I sat somewhere in countryside or field next to a holy stone or whatever. I learned to sit in the outer ring or fringe of the group, so that I was able, to feed the dog. It was mainly the meat.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
And when being invited to a bit modern Newar houses with deep windows, I sat next to the window. And I didn't want to be unpolite, that's the scene. And one day, I had a vegetarian female high caste cook. It was also funny in the beginning. No one could see her cleaning the window glass. She closed the curtain, and then she didn't want to be seen, and I understood. And one day she felt a bit sick or weak, and I told, and I had a fridge, Donna, maybe I should not say the name, why don't you eat an egg? An egg she normally ate. Oh, Babu Raza, if she liked me, or Buddha Bao, when she was angry. Babu Raza, today no egg eating, Hindu eating, Tuesday no egg. I think it was her own rule. And this hit me. Now, from that time, I used to say, oh, today is Thursday. Christians are not allowed to eat this type of meat. Next day it's the same, Saturday. And it was accepted. No problem at all. But 4 years it took me to learn how to avoid certain dishes.
Did you ever get caught?
Caught?
Yeah.
I liked very much.
No, not caught. Did you ever get caught lying about the weekday thing?
No, because no one knew. Who knew about Christian customs?
Oh, yeah, it was relatively new, yeah.
So this helped me very much. And putting the Christian aspect, not to say, oh, I don't like, it was very easily accepted. Yeah? But I suffered before quite a lot.
So I would assume that till the 4th year or the 5th year, you would have gotten used to a lot of food?
Yes.
Yeah.
And certain dishes I liked. Otherwise, I would not have joined.
What were the dishes that you liked, actually?
I would say most dal bhat was no problem at all. And that time you could get only a real curd, chuchu dao from Bhaktapur. From the dairy, I think not yet, in plastic bowls. I like this. And I must say Tibetan food more because it was not so spicy.
Yeah.
And fried momo or tukpa. Yeah. And it was boiled and clean, so no one touched it. Yeah. So I prefer, or I think it was called later Indira, also restaurant at New Road, first floor, and Indian dishes.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have been different, and we learned to avoid pyro stuff. So we went, as I had a room nearby also for 2 years, to go very often there.
So do you remember the price of any of the food, just to make a context of what you could buy off of that $500?
I could have bought a house. No, I give you example because I write this here. Therefore, you should read.
Yeah, definitely.
To explain to people the price of an egg. There has been no egg farm, only some chicken around. 1 egg was 1 rupee.
Okay.
A laborer at the construction site earned 6 or 7 eggs a day. That means 6-7 rupee
a day.
Not much.
Not much.
And I think the wood carvers had or earned maybe 12, 13, 14 eggs a day. But they had to come from Bhaktapur, long way. Many laborers had to walk more than 1 hour from the fringe of the valley to come and go back. Yeah. So the income of, I call it always hand workers or people who work with hand, was poor.
So how much was $1 back then? Do you remember? In rupees?
I must look into my book if it was
Okay.
10, 1 to 10,
1
1
is to
to
10.
8.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like quite a lot of money for you to spend here. I mean, you would live a comfortable life with that here.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
But I didn't show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had for most of the time my cycle, and how to say, coming from a poor background, I did not need to show that I'm rich now. But the $500 has been only for the half the year, and between 73 and 77, I've been UNESCO expert, but only an associate expert. That means half salary and no connection to national trading. But being an expert, I climbed the ladder of international caste system. Yeah, so I got quite often invited, and even if I didn't like the people or the chit-chatting, and so I went there for food. One bad example: one German expert from the Technical Training Institute, which doesn't exist anymore, very sad because it was good. He asked some volunteers if we would join for dinner. We wondered, but we went. Why not to go? And he had ordered from Singapore, I think, ham.
Ham?
Pork, meat,
Okay,
smoked.
ham. Okay.
Ham.
Okay.
He forgot to write how much. He got, say, a whole, we call it hinder leg, such a bunch, and his fridge was too small, so he invited us poor volunteers to kill, I don't know, 5 or 6 kg of ham. And yeah, otherwise he would not have invited us. Yeah? Or to go to embassy, because I'm now an expert, so more invitations. I learned quickly, and because speaking a bit Nepali, if some servant came with a new plate of I don't know what, my place was next to the door to the kitchen. So I was always served first, could select and so on. Yeah. Or Lufthansa gave a party with German beer and German sausage. But how to say, maybe once in 2 months or so, not often. But otherwise, and my cook, I don't want to repeat the name, is a vegetarian. She had been second in command for the cooks of an expert, so she had learned to cook a bit, say, half German way. Yeah, like fried minced meat, hamburgers a bit, and this was good. Yeah, so I could live a little bit as an expert the last 4 years, associated expert on local food prepared by a lady knowing a bit what foreigners like to eat. And she learned to prepare. Yeah.
What were the norm? I mean, like, what was fooding like back then? Was it like the foods that we already mentioned? I mean, like, what were the people eating? What were you guys eating on a regular basis? Was it dal bhat?
All people outside the valley, at my wife, that time girlfriend, only dal bhat, and in a very poor village somewhere in the Terai, sleeping on the ground with the family. Very simple. No meat. Also here, meat only in normal life, only for festivals.
Oh, yeah.
No one could afford meat every day. We like it more. And I taught her Not so often rice. I preferred potato, fried, boiled, whatever. Yeah, but you could not get big potatoes or very often. Or when we lived still in Lazimpad, hunters or farmers from the villages came, having hunted a wild boar. And as we have been in the beginning of houses where foreigners lived, they came very often first to us. And of course we bought wild boar meat because it was very, very tasty. Yeah. Pork meat, I think we could not get properly because no wild pig. You only had the dirty black pigs eating everything, cleaning the roads. We didn't like. So most of the time, buffalo.
How were the people like here? I mean, like your first impression or your first encounter with local people?
I think they always write, every guide, they are polite and helpful. And this is true. Yeah. So, and I never complained. And even on construction site, everyone did his job without being controlled. Problem was officers also, but okay, I've been very often alone, or at Hanuman Dhoka, we had a very good team. And even with sports, but by sports, and I wrote this here too, all dirty words I learned at the football ground.
Dirty words, all the dirty words.
Yes, because if they did not accept the visitors, the referee's decision, or we had one defenseman who really liked to get his opponent off his feet, then uproar, and really, I wrote them down with Ma, so-and-so.
I mean, that's one of the easiest way to actually learn language. People learn the bad words first.
Yes, and I didn't want to use, but it was good to know how I am addressed. One example, at New Road, there was a kind of electric, not electronic, shop selling a heater or lamps. So I bought, I think it was a simple lamp, and it didn't work. So next day I went to him and said, I want to return, I want to have, it should work. And he got angry, and there was another Newar next to him, and I stood fast, or how you call it. Look, I paid, and I want a good product. Then I heard a very bad word from him, telling his partner, oh, this Bideshi is this and that. And then in my Nepali I said, yes, if I am so XXX, you are a large one and I'm a small one. He was so shocked, and we befriended.
Did he laugh?
Yeah, first not.
No.
But as I said, and I got my, and even now being old, I like to go by tuk-tuk, because it's the fastest way. Motorbike I'm not allowed to use because of safety reasons. And if there are Newar women going downtown, and they talk, and they make a break, and then I say, Kaka. You understood us? No, only 5 words, only to impress them. Yeah. So, and this was also a wrong decision by the German Volunteer Service to teach us Nepali. At the office, I mean, it was good for many people outside that. In the beginning, I told that, or mentioned, that all engineers have been Newar. So in the office, they did not talk Nepali as they do nowadays.
Okay.
It was Newar. So I did not learn, and I didn't want to learn much, because after 2 years I would go home anyhow. I did not learn Newari anyhow, not in a bit Nepali, just to get around. Back to your question. I found them helpful, except, say, at the football ground, that people can be very, very angry, pulling down even their trousers and so on. Yeah, but as I was not the goal of their, how to say, shouting, it was okay. Or one nice story concerning also caste system. I've been in one village, I don't know if it was Nala or so, and there was a lady with a baby on her arm, and I looked and learned not to touch it. And I don't know, she must, maybe not Nala, she spoke Nepali. And she asked me if I could give her half of my nose. You know why?
What do you mean? No.
She had a flat nose
Okay.
that seemed to be kind of low caste, and I came with my Brahmin nose, so she wanted to get a part. It was more or less a joke.
Yeah.
But otherwise, even at athletic grounds or so, no problems at all, or on the way, or maybe a bit too respected, but if there was need, no problem at all.
How did you get involved with the sports
And
team?
one word, no beggar, if I said in Nepali, then I don't give her. So as in India, they attacked me, but here they went away, and left me peacefully.
How did you get involved with the sports team?
I had to pass to Nickel twice a day from Lasimpat to Baba Mahal. So I very soon learned that in the afternoon, 5 o'clock or so, or after work hours, people played soccer, I think, and running not so much. And one day I saw that white lines, a 400-meter course, has been drawn onto Tundikel. At that time it was cut, good grass, good ground, because goats ate it and cows, a 400-meter track. So I went there because I'm curious what's going on. Oh yes, sport meeting. Can I join? Why not? And what is that? What is the English word? It was running for 100, 200, 400, 1,500, 5,000. How you call it? Events?
Yeah. Marathon, no? Running events?
No, but events, say.
Yeah.
And then, I was...
Sprinting? Sprinting?
Yes, but there's a general word for this type of activities. Anyhow.
Okay.
Oh, can I join? 5,000 meter. Because at home I did long distance running. Why not? Kahile, when? Tomorrow 3 o'clock. Tomorrow 3 o'clock I was at work. Around 2 o'clock I told them, and they accepted, and I didn't want to say, look, I do some sports, so they permitted me to go home, drive home. I went there, had to wait a bit, and I think I became third or so, got a medal, and left. And next day at the office, oh, you are back? Yes, my stomach is okay. And one of them told, didn't you make sports? Because a reporter of Rising Nepal wrote that one foreigner became third, and he gave the name as Jong Kang Kong, because he didn't dare to ask for the proper name. He heard it from loudspeaker. So everyone knew. And no one complained. They found it good that I would take part with this type. And so I went more often and met Kamal Chitrika. He might hear his name. He was that time, for several years, table tennis champion, Nepali, but he did athletics too. So we created the Himali team with some others, also the brothers of Fresh House, and I've been for some years the best sports team in Nepal, because outside there wasn't much.
You also got to train the first female football team, if I'm correct.
Yes, I think you heard it or I told. One day, must have been maybe 70, 71, I don't know. I must look into my book. Woman attacked me. No, I came very slowly, polite. Oh, sir, oh, sir. I said, what's going on? Do you have a problem? Yes, we have a problem. You do sports, can you teach us? Or coach us? We need a coach. Yes, I said, where? Yes, Mahendra Bhavan Girls High School, I think Christian managed, at Banishwar. How often? 2 days, 3 days a week. So I went, and then I learned that for years the yearly inter-high school sports meeting was won by St. Mary's. And I knew St. Mary is a high society school, that even royals went there and all the foreigners. And I said, yes. And then I learned that Mahendra Bhavan has been a school for poor and orphans. And first thing I had to do, because we didn't have much time, they asked me pretty late, I asked, they had the kind of Western style skirt. And I said, we can't do high jump with this type of skirt. And next day, or some days later, they came with a white cut brown trouser, not showing much of shape. And St. Mary came with very tight white stuff. Anyhow, short put we practiced with a stone. And we had some strong, I think Gurung or mountain girls, javelin by a stick. Running, we just could use their ground. It was not as even as Tunica. So the day came, and my student girls and teachers expected, of course, much, having a foreign coach. I think first day most of things running, so we have been running events a bit behind St. Mary. So the mood was a bit down. Next day, javelin short put came. Anyhow, we did beat St. Mary's with some points. First time since the competition was organized. And because of social difference, it was double 3 times. It did hurt St. Mary very specially and deeply. And I had to join, walking from sports ground, from the stadium, that time having been very, very simple, back to Banishwar with 2 shields, because under 16 under 14, above 14, 2 teams. And walking with them. Who did win? Mahendra Bhavan, so a big event. Then again for half a year, nothing. Then they asked me again to come. And we had a very good sprinter, Pratima Shrestha. And the best sprinting girl, I think, has been Rose Shrestha of St. Mary.
You still remember the names?
Yeah, they come back when talking. And we crushed St. Mary. It was really a defeat. Third year, the competition was cancelled for political reasons. They did not want to lose again, I think. Yeah, and this I liked, and I would call myself, say, kind of social democrat. Yeah,
through sports.
Through sport, yeah, I have been in general. Look, even by working with farmers or how I dealt or at construction site, I was not with the engineer so much, but with how to say, common
With the
people.
locals.
Locals, yes.
So what about the football thing with the women, right? You were training football for the women's team as well?
No.
Okay, no.
There was no women football,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
No. When I did long distance practice at the newly built Chinese road, but not yet paved, but it was easy to walk and not on footpaths. One day, a lady just walking along told, "Oh, foreigner, why do you run? Who is chasing you?" In Nepali. No one chasing me. But then I realized that sports has been done, or athletics, only by certain strange people in Kathmandu, but it was not common to see it outside. And I got a bit lazy, and then I saw, of course, the football people teams doing training at Tundikel. And the first team I joined, I was not a good player, but I had stamina for the left defense to left attack. I joined Boys Union team of Tripureshwar, and it was okay, the result, but then they stopped with training. I joined Annapurna team because I just met and asked for 1 year. And finally, I ended up with NRT, Neuro team, because I also lived there for a while. And this was just good because it was well managed, and it was easy, after work to go and join and do and then go home. And I like also not to run around as athlete, doing my 5,000 or 1,500 meter, but to work or do sports in a team. And we became quite successful. And once, because the contract has expired, the next one not yet started, I went home and the players asked me, "Can you bring Adidas boots?" That time, no one in Nepal, and I think even in India, had Adidas boots. Why and how they heard about, I don't know. I went home, wrote Adidas, and the result, the answer has been, what is your, how to say, size of feet and your height of body? So they equipped me with boots and tracksuit. And I got boots, I think, for 1/3 of the normal price, because maybe they saw it as advertisement, I don't know. And so one day, Neuro team was the first team ever in Nepal with new Adidas boots. And the players even paid for it, so I didn't have problems because it wasn't very cheap.
So everybody had Adidas shoes?
Yes, I had to get it through custom. Yeah, a big bag, and I got it. I told donation, and maybe the customer was a football fan too. And resulting of this, I think it will be next page. One day, the police knocked at my door. I got afraid and scared. Oh, what did I do? Nothing, sir. But a German team is coming, and they want to play 3 games, so it was decided. One match of the German team against, what is it, the public selection, one against police and one against army. And the army wanted to have boots within 3 weeks. 14. I said, impossible. And I forgot if I wrote or they sent a telegram. At least one day before their match, police came again. Look, jump, come. So with a horn blew and light, we drove to the airport to get the boots for the police out of customs. Yeah.
But then it arrived really fast.
Very fast. Yeah. So extreme express, super express, whatever. I never thought. And since then, I was at the top list of foreigners to be invited for beating the retreat.
What retreat?
Beating the retreat.
What is beating the retreat?
Yearly, say, social event by the police. They seem to have they had a good band, music band, and there was a music event, and even the royals have been invited, all diplomats, and Wolfgang Korn. Yeah, and I sat better and nearer to the royals than the German ambassador, but I came by cycle. Yeah, and football helped me. Yes, to look for the oil crisis. If it was 74 or so, and that time I already had a Beetle car, that I got petrol always, a bit. Yeah, I could, for Hanuman Dhoka project, get timber, which was designed for the Bhaktapur development project, because the timber dealer here, or importer to Kathmandu, the official, was a football soccer fan. Yeah, so how to say, I built up a certain network, but not to gain, say, profit, but to get through life a bit easier. Yeah. And then one day the whole system died because of fights between Neuro team and RCT, that time the best 2 teams.
What do you mean the whole system died?
There was fighting in the stadium, so one league, yearly league, was cancelled, and it's written in the book too. Then maybe referee bribed, so for 1 year was no real official good tournament, and so I left. And the people didn't want to practice anymore. Yeah, so I call it football died down for me. Yeah, why should I struggle and the politicians do their business?
One of the fond memories when you look back in history during the 60s and 70s is the prevalence of the hippies in Nepal. That's when a lot of people started coming to Nepal as well. What was that era like?
I think it was not a problem here, because you asked about how the Nepalese treated me. They've been very, very tolerant. And hippie dancing in front of Hanuman Dhoka, Bhaktapur, yeah, white dress like sadhus or so, and Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, and all this, and drums. I also did not understand from where this system, or why they imported it from India, and the Nepalis even less. And I haven't heard of any conflict between hippies and the public, except for the filming and of the Fanan's film, and maybe in private that parents complain that the youngsters have been too nearby. But I don't know of any of the players or people I worked or made sport with taking or being part of the scene.
So you were here before the whole scene started. You saw it
No,
happen
I
in front of
think
your
I
eyes.
saw it
Build up.
building up, and it, when I left in 77, I think it started to die down because of the government
Yeah.
rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I would say it was quite a peaceful kind of, say, revolution, not, and very much tolerated by the Nepali public. At home, they would have gone to jail, or people would cry
Yeah.
and do. Yeah, so I would say it was not a big problem from the side of the Nepalese, at least not in public.
So the hippie movement was rising up slowly. My assumption is like things like these. I mean, like hashish and marijuana had slowly started becoming legal, or at least they were being sold in public, right? So
Yes.
that might have been new for the Nepali public as well.
Yes.
To sell. So
Yes.
how was it? Because from what I've understood or listened to people talk about history, it seems like it has the usage of marijuana and hashish has always been here. It's just that the hippies were sold or getting used to this culture. But from what I'm understanding, the whole movement was sort of building up. That means it was new for the Nepali people to accept cannabis as well and hashish. Were there
Not to
stigmas
accept,
associated?
it was maybe if it was a problem, but only for the hippies.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the locals
so-
were not using it
I
as much.
did not meet.
Okay.
I think there have been, but why not? And the funny thing is that also the hippie movement in Europe started very slowly. And why, especially in Volkswagen minibuses, they drove through Iran, everything was possible
Yeah.
at that time,
Yeah.
to Goa.
Mm-hmm.
And when it became too hot in Goa, or before it got hot, they came to Kathmandu. When it got too cold in Kathmandu, they went back to Goa. So that time you could cheaply buy used second-hand Volkswagen minibuses. Yeah, but look, what I told about Setu Machendranath, the daily chilim, I didn't see young Nepalis trying to get a puff too. It was concentrated to the group of elderly. Maybe there was a young drummer, but they did not get high because one puff is not enough.
No.
Yeah, so they controlled the consumption, and maybe there have been problems, but I was not aware of it.
Were there any conversations or stigma or some sort of negative connotations associated with marijuana among the locals?
I never heard.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was not their problem, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was more the problem of high society having contact to foreigners,
Right.
but the common people not. I don't know of any football players or athlete going to such places or buying stuff.
Did you ever try it out?
Yes. You see, I always have to think, I talk so often to different people now, they want to know. I didn't smoke cigarettes. So my first experience has been Setu Machendranath. I like to go there, listen to music, sitting at the bench, which they destroyed and made modern now, and listened. And at the end of the performance, they shared either biscuit or even a moolah, cut it. Everyone who has been, even beggars or sometimes tourists or also hippies, listen and have been part of the ceremony. They got their piece of moolah and the chilim went around. And when it was my turn, how to say, my throat burned, I was coughing, I could not take a proper, how you call it, puff? I don't know,
Puff. Yeah,
puff,
I
yeah.
think that's the word for it. Yeah.
But of course, I would like to learn. So the second time I went, that time Tamil did not exist, but some American volunteers stayed in a Rana Dawa, and I think it was owned or hired by Kana Sakya at that time. I was invited to we called it Hashish party.
Okay.
As I couldn't smoke, they offered me hash cookies. And I didn't know how they prepare, but they asked me, the American volunteers, take 2 or 3, then you are on the safe side. It tasted well. For 1 or 2 hours, no result in my mind or body.
How many did you take?
3.
3. Okay.
And then I got real stomach trouble. So I took my cycle and left, got home safely. And the next morning, riding down the hill from Lazimpat, direction Papa Mahal. Oh, I felt it so sunny, so nice. Everything
You were
was
feeling
good.
euphoric.
And then I realized this is what you call to be high.
The next day.
The next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I told
Did
him,
you not feel anything on the same day?
No.
Nothing really.
I felt bad. I vomited.
Yeah.
And during night, I don't know, maybe I was too tired. The next day, at least, I thought, or I had to learn, being Ela Gulu, you are drunk. But by hashish, you are high, not drunk. You realize music more, or maybe dancing or whatever. I didn't have experience. And I only learned, I tried. My girlfriend at that time, she was used, but only in a certain group of people, volunteers, she could trust. And I watched her. When they realized it's enough, they stopped. But the problem was, I had the 3 cookies. I could not prove how many blocks of hashish has been inside. Maybe I had just too much.
Yeah. It's actually different. The way, I mean, for people who are used to alcohol and have never tried marijuana, for them it's hard to explain how the marijuana high is different than getting drunk. It's completely different, 2 different feelings.
Yes.
And similarly, when it comes to marijuana or hashish, when you smoke it versus when you ingest it orally or when you eat it, from what I've heard, it's a different kind of high. It's much more intense when you ingest it because some other receptors are activated, which is not activated while you're smoking. So it's a much more intense, it works way slowly, and it lasts for longer as well.
I'm not an expert on it, but at least my hashish experiences, also in my the friends or volunteers, no one, even those freely who closed doors and windows not to hear loud music, got addicted. When they went home, the material wasn't available. They could not jump to another material, and they got clean. I think the chemical makes you dependent on.
Yeah, definitely is a huge issue right now.
Yeah, and this is much more dangerous. And so my experience have been poor. Because I couldn't smoke cigarettes even.
Yeah, but then like what you're saying is completely true. I mean, like the ones, the marijuana that used to be found here or that's still grown out in the wild, it has probably like 4 or 5% THC, which is not that strong compared to the ones that we're getting abroad, which is like at the minimum 23, 25%, 30%.
Yes.
I think it's the psychoactive part of it, and that is much more intense and gets you kind of dependent if you're using it for a longer period of time. So, yeah.
Even my wife, she liked it, but she said not very often. Because she also worked outside, but she had some friends, and it was not to get drunk together or high, it was relaxing.
Yeah.
But there was a certain point where they stopped.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing when to stop. Same with alcohol. I mean, like,
Yes.
there are people who get blasted out and then, you know, pass out. I mean, that's
Yes.
wrong.
Yes.
You have to know your limit. And I get it, like, especially when it's edible, you don't know how much concentrated it is.
But this I had to learn. I
Yeah.
learned, so I kept my fingers away.
So you never tried it after that?
No,
Okay.
not with cookies.
Okay. All right. All right. So what else did you discover? I wanted to know, I mean, like, back
No,
then.
one small thing on smoking.
Okay.
We smoke like that with a cigarette in my mouth. When I saw first time the cigarette between what is it, the middle and the what we call
Ring
ring
fingers.
finger,
Yeah?
yeah, and I thought it
You mean
looks
the same
funny.
cigarette? It was not the...
Yeah, no, the very small. The homemade,
home ruled?
yeah, not
Yeah.
packets of cigarettes too expensive for They have been not beady, but very cheap type of, say, cigarettes.
So people would roll tobacco at home?
Yes. And then I saw at construction site, they did it because they passed it around.
Okay, so you're not trying to
You
touch it
did
with your
not
mouth?
finish one. This was a chance, and here. Yeah, in your feast. Because of, say, religious reason that you don't make the first sip and make the thing dirty, ritually dirty. Yeah? And I still see it from time to time here.
So back then, what was like the most happening place? Because Tamil wasn't there. Right
No,
now
it
it's
was
like,
Freak Street.
It was Freak Street was everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Mainly, I would say only. There have been maybe later when, it's written in the book, when the government tried to control and no advertisement outside anymore, but
Were they allowed to use it
business
secretly?
people knew where to, and then they called the place differently, and within, say, 1 or 2 days, at least the foreigners knew where to go. And they did not order hash cake, maybe a brownie, and they knew what they get. But it really is the whole system died down end of the 70s. So it was no business anymore. And you see, when Tamil grew, poor owners of houses and shops and restaurants at Freak Street, had problems.
Because now there is a new town square.
Yes.
A new popular place.
But also very slowly growing.
Okay, so you witnessed Tamil grow as well.
In the beginning, one restaurant owner, you see, I forgot the name, but it started very slowly. Yeah, the hippies left most, and the establishment by tourists in the beginning, maybe by poorer section of tourists, and slowly, very slowly. I know Tavahi monastery surrounded by paddy fields. Yeah? And now it's surrounded by skyscrapers. Horrible. Yeah.
How did you see Tamil growing up? I mean, like, what was the first initiation?
I did not see much because, to go there for a restaurant or for Hashish, there was no need. I lived for 4 years, 5 years, as I told in Dhoka, Tol, Guruju, Pandit, Ko, Darbar, Ko, servants' quarter.
Okay.
And this was very practical. I got it we had a club, Nepal German Friendship Club also, and a relative, I don't tell the name, of Pandiko family, when he heard that I'm searching for a room, I got this, and it was very good. From Hanuman Dhoka, I could take lunch at home. I was in center of town. I could go for a toilet.
Yeah.
You see the other problem. And I had a garden, with grass and bushes and so, and quiet. It was very suitable. Yeah. So I wasn't concentrated anymore to pass by Tamil going to northern part of the city. Yeah. So somehow, and I don't know, I have been so busy with a project and maybe playing soccer, I was not a member of the volunteer society anymore. Yeah. So I kept to my life, and this was enough.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we start with the pictures? Because there's a lot of old pictures with a lot of stories. What is this? Kastamandap? What is it?
This is a very old plan of Setu Machendranath, and I showed it because the entrance building to the right, you had the passage through, and how you call it, the bhajan corner, which they locked because of instruments, and the guest. This was same where I went often to hear music, yeah, and they kill the evening. No radio, no TV.
So they would perform every single evening?
Every single, yeah. Okay. And most of them, I think, members of the families living around.
So religious music?
It is religious music.
Religious music. Bhajan?
Bhajan, yes,
okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Every evening.
Okay.
This is one of the prizes, maybe 800 meter race by Kirtinidia Bista. And we had to go home after the competition, now I know, and dress properly.
Okay, so
came back by cycle to Tundikel to get a prize.
So you're wearing a proper suit?
Yeah, very proper.
Because I think most of the Nepali people would wear daura surual and then a coat.
No, I mean, they had, I think the young Nepali from New Road and Kathmandu.
They wouldn't? Okay.
No,
okay.
They wanted to be modern. And also concerning what is modern, they run around for some years with a wide cut trouser covering the high heel shoes. I wanted to be modern too, so I had a dark blue suit, went to search for dark blue cloth, and I really found what is an area where you still get the bad cloth, the right, good Indian cloth, on the way to Indrachok. There have been many shops. I found exactly the same texture, same color, went to a tailor, local tailor, to cut a triangle and enlarge the trouser. And later he complained it was so much work not to fit it in, but to get, I don't know how you call it, the ironed line out of it.
It was not easy? It was not easy for the guy?
He said it's not, it was more difficult than including the triangle. And 2 years later I took it out because it wasn't modern anymore.
It wasn't fashionable anymore.
Fashionable.
What were people wearing after that? What kind of fashion was
just
that?
Straight cut trousers. But say, yeah.
This is Boudha?
Yeah, and I got a chapter here on dressing that even among the Tibetan refugees, and he didn't show. Do you show the other photo with the well-dressed, the very rich? No, it's not here. It's not here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show the difference between very poor Tibetans.
We'll put it after. Biraj, note kar rakho.
Yes. The same with Nepali. Show the 10-7 team, my team, in the middle left. Can you enlarge it?
Okay.
Measuring Pujahari mat, and the boy to the right was the son of one of Department of Archaeology employees. And look how the children run around. And the small ones,
Is that the pant that you got made?
This is kind of, how you call it, but not the enlarged one.
Okay. It's a straight cut pant,
Yes,
not the bottom
straight
bell
cut.
one.
A bit widened. Look at the boy.
Yeah.
No, the widened one was my very special dress. And children, small children, run around with a shirt, no trouser, no shoes. Many. Yeah.
Would they have an underwear on or not?
No. It's a very small, don't laugh, very small one not.
Yeah.
Because they just sat down in front of the houses and did their business.
You're talking about the really small kids.
The small, say until 5 years of age. He might be
Not
6, 7.
teenagers running around naked.
But I saw many bare backsides.
What do you mean? What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got the photos, this I only found now and couldn't include, where 2 boys like this small wall to the right, leaning over, looking downstairs. Naked feet, naked legs, and naked, and just too short shirt. Yeah, it was common. Yeah. And the others.
What are you taking measurements of? What is that?
This is Puchahari mat.
Okay.
In this case, with a tape, and I always asked a local boy to keep 0 so that I could measure.
Yeah.
And then I had my folding meter, how it's called. The Britishers did not copy. It's a very practical thing, 2 meter long, and you can fold it down to 20 centimeter.
Yep.
Yeah. And I had my kind of wooden plate and my drawings on top, and I made sketches.
Okay, so you would measure and sketch right there?
Yes.
Okay. Next.
This has been in Puchahari mat.
So it's the same
Must
place?
have been about 70. Looks a adaptation of fashionable hairdress, longer than before. This was
So this was the new hairstyle in trend?
Yes, longer.
Yeah.
Yes, it grew. Yeah, I wanted to adjust to Newar, New Road fashion.
Okay. Yeah.
This we had.
So these
This
were
letter,
the letters that you
this was
said.
it was called aerogram, going by air, and very light, thin paper.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would have to pay more. Yes, this is which river?
Vishnumati? Okay.
Yeah. There's another photo in the book. I think
But
even
which
having
area is it?
Swayambhu behind. It's down from Kathmandu, say from Morotol downwards.
Yeah.
And I cut this out, and therefore it's not good quality, because there's a very shaky bridge nearby, a pork, black pork eating something, and I think a man doing his business somewhere in the corner. Yeah, and Swayambhu in the background and fields.
Did you have running water in your place that you stayed back then?
We had running water, electricity, and in Rajguruju's house, even hot water.
But that was very rare, special.
Very rare.
Okay.
No, at New Road I had it so that one player, I also don't tell the name, but I think he passed away, he came to take, after matches or training, hot shower. But we wanted to save water, so we did it together. Naked. Don't laugh. It was, how to say...
That's very practical.
Yes, but very... Because people, when changing dress at the sports ground, they try to cover even the knee. Yeah, it was very, very special. And about another incident, I don't talk here. We do it
We'll talk
privately.
about it after the
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, in the book, I talk about not having any contact for 30 years to Nepal, and coming back since 2013 as a pensioner, I want to show that I had a very common, normal life for 30 years, but being employed by the government, also kind of DOA, caring German traditional buildings, and yes, for 30 years. And I produce children. First, we have agreed no owned child, because so many problems in the world, poor children, orphans. Why not, how you call it, to adopt one?
What made you change your mind?
My wife.
Mm-hmm.
Should we not have fun? I did my duty, so the son was born.
Mm-hmm. And then you couldn't stop.
For me, it was enough, my wife. One more, one more. And she came to the office, pregnant, smiling. It's the last pregnancy. So I said, why does she smile? And telling, it's the last one. Twins. She has been with a doctor, so the twins here in front.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one looks a bit strange.
So the oldest one is your son, right?
Yes.
How old is he right now?
Now 43 or so.
Okay.
And the twins 40, just 40.
Okay.
And the next story you might cut or you leave it. Then I decided, kadam. I went to a, how you call this, doctors for making you...
Not produce any more kids.
Yes. And it was...
Vasectomy.
Vasectomy,
Yeah.
but people might not know.
Yeah.
So the pipe between few elements are cut.
Yeah.
And it's nothing special. It doesn't hurt much. But 2 days before the action, my wife said,
One more kid.
one more. I did my duty, and next day I went to the doctor.
Your youngest daughter must be very lucky. She must.
She
be very
knows
lucky.
about it, and all of them got a second name. So Ananda, Lakshmi, Sundari, and so on.
Oh, okay. Did you ever? I mean, like, not to be very personal, but then, like, your wife wanted to have kids. You probably were not.
I was not against. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done my.
Were you convinced by then?
I didn't think much, and it was good to have children, yeah, and now grandchildren, yeah.
You don't regret it, right?
No. I regret it a bit in the sense, if you see the new world, what's coming up, the future of children, grandchildren, having to live with Putin, Xi Jinping or what, and Trumps, and all the modern, the digital revolution, you are not anymore. You cannot decide anymore because you depend on scrolling. And it's dangerous for children. How to prevent them to see things. Or friendship, you don't need a friend to talk, play soccer or whatever. You got 100 friends in your computer.
Yeah.
And therefore, but maybe our parents also said, oh, what about
that's
your
how
future?
I feel about everything. I mean, like, there are always going to be challenges in every generation. It's just like people figure it out. Like, for example, fashion. Every single time I talk to my dad about his young age, he tells me that the same thing, the bell-bottom pants and the shirt with the larger lapels and stuff like that. So what he tells is, my granddad used to always disapprove of the fashion.
Of course. Yes.
And then I grew up, and then he would disapprove of my fashion.
Yes.
And now he's okay with it, right? And I feel like I would disapprove of my kids' fashion. And there is always going to be challenges that you navigate.
But I think it's more dangerous now about the
we're living in
KI
different times,
and what's coming up.
Yeah.
And
But I think we'll be fine. So tell me about this picture.
This is from internet because
Okay.
the thing is, I did photograph, say, only things strange to me, say Nepali things. And I was asked, I like sketching and I'm kind of artist too, why I never produced a proper painting of Durbar squares. I only prepared 2 sketches. I think I was so involved with the architect measuring why painting. And I never photographed myself. What for? Look, no, how you call it, no selfie. Nowadays people go home in front of each temple or something special, always a stupid face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you regret not taking a lot of pictures?
I regret, for example, to photograph Westerners or hippies. I thought, what for? It was better maybe Tibetans or when I've been doing a trek at Everest landscape, how people lived and Sherpas and so on. And this photo I included, despite having it from internet, it shows Freak Street at its best. You see also the dressed here. They have been properly dressed.
So this was in the 70s.
70s.
Yeah.
So not the normal hippie. They would not be dressed like this. And then the, what is it, which restaurant and the cycles.
It's Oriental Lodge. It's Oriental Lodge.
Something.
Yep.
And this was atmosphere of Freak Street for several years. Here's this, yeah?
Okay.
Eden. This was the center for Hashish.
It's still there, right? The one that exists right now is the same one, Eden. There's
Eden,
a rooftop Eden.
Yeah, but they call it Eden. But I think it's not this building. But
It's not this one.
next
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's too small for a restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And I like
those are
Hashish
things
toasted
to
cheese. And $2.50 was expensive. No Nepali could afford. Or even Hashish milk coffee.
Did you ever try any of these?
No.
No.
I had, how to say, my experience.
Yeah.
Eating it was, I was scared of, and so it just was not my thing, as we say.
Yeah.
And
Where is this?
Pashupati.
Pashupati, of
And
course.
the sadhus came in groups and naked. And he did not include special photos of one naked sadhu. But I included it here and described it.
It's
so
probably-
some girls will not like to read this.
Okay. What do you say?
You cut it later.
Should we cut it later or should I
No.
decide for later?
If you think I described it properly.
Okay.
Opposite Kathmandu, Pashupati, crossing the river by the nice bridge, going up, what is the hill called?
Where? In which direction?
Pashupatinath. You go down to the river and turn left and climb to the
Sure,
temple.
that's-
And there's a big Bandakal or so.
Maybe.
Anyhow, opposite, there are all small
Opposite to
temples.
Pashupati.
Pashupati
Okay.
and the forest over there. And in one...
Guheshwari? Is it Guheshwari?
No, Gujaswara is up the river.
Okay. Okay, so, yeah.
So one of my friends said, look, what is he doing? So a naked sadhu, I mean, he called himself sadhu, naked, and he had a piece of cloth knotted together to have a kind of bag, pulled his penis, put this kind of bag over it, and loaded brick by brick up to 7 bricks to show how strong this muscle is.
Wow.
Yeah?
Means
and he earned much of money because everyone donated to see it again. And now the sadhus are boring. They paint their faces nice, sit at Hanuman Dhoka.
They don't have a stronger erections
No,
anymore.
and it was really so. They came from India.
Yeah.
Very often an older sadhu with his pupil who has to serve. And they sat together smoking and naked and whatever they did. Yeah. We had. Yeah, this is to show Hanuman Dhoka, Lalitpur Tower before repairing. So my drawings and measurements, and later and we numbered each timber, especially so if we had to exchange a broken part, especially the top part of the post, where the mat and the nail in the wooden nail, so that we could, if we had to replace the same place, that we don't mix the timbers up so that they all get back to the original place. Therefore we measured. Or go back story. And I had a nice set. At that time it was difficult to get what we call transparent paper. I don't know the proper name. Ink pens, and this all came, I think Karl Pruchard imported from Germany. Ink pen, special paper. You could not copy it. What is it? It's a yellow. You see my brain not working. We could not make proper copies, only very simple ones. Laying this to the ground, with white background, cardboard below, and the copying paper on top, using the sun for lighting. But the quality was poor. And when the project died down, suddenly in 1977, the drawings have been all in a nice drawer, and even Rohit and his father don't know what happened afterwards. And after the earthquake, two of the towers collapsed and Chinese rebuilt, but I think good. And I wanted to know if they used my measurements, because especially Bhaktapur Tower, it's shown somewhere in a small scale, it's very complicated roof. If you would go there, you cannot rebuild a temple. No, it's not here. Such a construction fallen down 3 floors, and I don't know how much have been broken or rebuilt. And later I heard someone found a roll, almost destroyed, but the rest of a roll of drawings, and Chinese could use it, and they had their workshop at the Chauni Museum to rebuild. So those drawings helped to get the 2 towers, especially Nautale and Bhaktapur Tower, back. And the Lalitpur and Kirtipur haven't been so much damaged because we took them down 50 years ago, repaired them properly, and of Nautale and Bhaktapur Tower, we only laid no new chingati, made the roofs tight because they've been stable. So the repaired ones collapsed. Those we rebuilt, most of the elements we used again, they survived. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, when you're looking at structures like these, which were very new to you at first, how did you go about learning more about these stuff? I mean, like, architecture, because I would assume nothing was being documented here.
Not yet, no.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think the measurements are so valuable, and I did it by, learning by doing. Yeah, and many people write books about temples, but with the photos from outside, No one went inside.
Yeah.
So, and therefore, the book, Traditional Architecture of the Kathmandu Valley, became very popular since hundreds of students of architecture or engineering per year are created in Kathmandu Valley or outside. That time.
एकचोटि हेरौँ न बुक पनि. What was the name of the book? त्यसमै खोज्न मिल्छ होला विराज. What was the name of your other book? The Architecture of the Kathmandu Valley.
Traditional Architecture of the Kathmandu Valley. You have to buy because the fourth or fifth reprint, and I wanted. Yeah, I wanted to call it the traditional Newar, the green one to the left.
The one on the left.
And this other is the second edition, and those are other books.
The first one is the... Yeah, which one is the original one?
It's not here. It's a bit more like the... No, it's... You are too fast. No, they are all newer ones. The second is a Pujahari mat. I had to get permission from the DOA. Later I heard that they scared to give me permission, so they had to ask someone in Palace, and Palace said, it's not permitted to call it the traditional Newar architecture.
Okay.
Yeah, and therefore, of the Kathmandu Valley, I didn't want to write. I didn't want to write traditional Nepali architecture because it's wrong. Then I would have to write about Sherpa, Upper Mustang, or it was Newar architecture. Also nowadays, I stress it's Newar.
Yeah.
Some people don't like to hear it, but it is like this. And those small ones on stupa and shaityas.
The third one.
I did at home because I had so many drawings, and there's on Shikara, not here on the list. Missing. Yeah. But those I did
Currently
at
not
home.
available?
Those you can if it's not out of stock. But here you see a very small,
Picture ma.
Here, stupa shaityas and shikaras. No, shikaras missing.
There's the cover of the book.
Yes. And I never expected that. And in 2013, I learned by the Fidel Devkota who made me writing this book. He said, even him as a student for, I don't know, filmmaking or culture, has to study traditional architecture. Every student, and when I came here and had meeting or book signing at architecture bookshop here, some students came and said, sorry, we cannot afford it, we copied it, if I would sign the copy. Yeah, it's good. You see, I never expected that this is, I don't want to use the word Bible, but it's a basic book people have to study when they get into architecture.
So your book...
I never expected it. Here you see another one with a section of Kastamandap.
This one, it says the shikars. This is what you were searching
Where
for
are the shikara? Here are the shikaras. Yeah. But they are smaller in size and not so popular.
So your book, The Traditional Architecture of the Kathmandu Valley, it's still like a curriculum book in architecture?
I think, yes.
Wow.
Because when I went giving PowerPoint presentations, everyone knew. And they didn't know the title. It's a green book. Yeah, because of the envelope.
A lot of architecture students will be watching this video then, this episode.
I think, yes. Therefore, I should not talk nonsense. Yeah. And look, Boudha, surrounded by concrete.
Yeah.
And if you look back to my first photo ever taken in Nepal was with a field surrounded. Yeah, there are so many old photos, that time not available. And I think it's very good that people started to, here's Facebook, I don't know. I got a similar one, but without the cows. But then we can sit an hour going through the old photos, as we do later again. I think we must go back to the book at about 6:30, so we got a bit.
Yeah,
he asked me to come, so maybe you got more questions or whatever.
Yeah. So you stayed here for 7 or 9 years, you say?
Between 68 to 77.
Okay.
But I have been twice at home for, say, half a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you leave the country then?
No project.
Okay, so
I think I would have stayed longer, but it was a, how to say, cut in my life, and maybe because of my then. At the end, you see a bit of the old runway.
Where?
Very much on the top in the center.
At the middle, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or was it already the extended?
So this was the airport.
Yes.
We're looking at Bhaktapur and Kathmandu in the crossroads somewhere around. Yeah, this is mostly, most of it is Bhaktapur.
Yeah, Bhaktapur will be to the right, Kathmandu to the left.
And this must be Patan, Lalitpur?
Yeah, but how to say, outside the dense cities.
It looks completely different.
Yes. I think Patan is to the left in the foreground, and I don't know the toll names or the place names. Yeah, it was just agricultural land. And very often non-Newar, because the architecture is different.
Okay.
Newars did not build barns or stables. Therefore, it's another theme. My theory is, in the very, very past, they came somewhere from an urban society. Yeah? Because you will have a normal house for the people, you will have stable, you will have barn, yeah? And the Kodali is unique in the world. Yeah? So, one example concerning hygiene. Why is a toilet in a traditional house under the barang? The first step. And I saw it even at modern houses.
Even to this day?
Yes, I can show you houses, concrete houses. Of course, it's a flats with they got one too, but below the ground floor. Yeah? I had even to use it, crouching like that.
You told me about people drinking water out of Bishnumati as well.
They collected water, yes. If they boiled it, I don't think. Water was too. But at least, let's say so, they washed their vegetable in the Vishnumati and washed themselves.
So most people would go to the river to take a shower?
Many of the poorer section.
Okay.
And Sundara, here I added a photo too, was hotspot for, the northeastern corner of Kathmandu to wash themselves clothes. It was crowded.
Okay.
I forgot how many spouts, yeah. But then the high-rising buildings, maybe Nepal Airlines buildings first, cut Rajkulo by foundations. Yeah? And all the cities had their good water supply from the mountains into, depending on height, wells, fountains, and I think the Rajkulo with pipes have been the only really technical thing, and Bhaktapur collected water in the big tanks, 3-4 big tanks. Kathmandu doesn't have one because they have been supplied from in the north.
Okay.
Where's the lying Buddha? Buddha Nilkantha.
Well, right.
Yeah.
So back then, how was the dynamics between the people and the officials or the government? Were they very much involved, or?
I didn't understand much. About caste system, of course, a high ranking, and so bowing down, namaskar, and or how to treat lower in ranking. This I didn't like, and therefore I mentioned it too. That I never bowed down, even in front, down deeply. Yeah, and I think when the king would come, the people have not been allowed to see him, to look at him. No. Okay. But I shook hands. There's also a photo at Puja Harimat. He came once, and I didn't know how to address. Oh, how are you? What do you do here? And so on. Very informal and informal dressed. I got a nice photo there too. When they visited Hanuman Dhoka, I think a red trouser, very modern sheen sari, and the brothers like New Road kids. Yeah, because it was an informal. Maybe they just have decided they wanted to see if the place, Nassalchok, gets ready for official marriage party.
Okay. Yeah. Was it frowned upon to dress casually in a formal setting?
I think they lived two lives. At home, European style. I've seen a photo of them in the Terai, even she in pants and so, the queen. And then when there was official, the same with all the officers. They run around quite modern, only the top people had to run as they do now. Also I don't know, call the name of the minister. They show to be Nepali dress, but no one. Or after the death of, it's also a long story, King Mahendra, you should have shaven your head. Modern people did not do, some high officials. And I took, I think it's not there, the first photo, private shot photo of King Birendra with a crown. Because I've been sitting there at, I think, Jagannath. Suddenly police came, army came, chasing everyone away. And I don't know, I ducked so nicely, or at least I could sit. And then the crown prince came in a, I don't know if it was Mercedes or so, rushed into it. Then a carriage with 4, I must look for, black horses. I said, camera. And suddenly he came out by foot, got into the, how you call it, the horse-drawn carriage, or how you call it. And he puts the crown, or fixed the crown to his head. And I clicked, and off they went. Yeah, somewhere. And I had been in the Terai with some German friends 5-6 days before, and we got very angry because we could not get elephant for riding and what's the tourist stuff nowadays, because we heard, and there was no hotel yet, Raja is hunting. Nepal Raja, they didn't say our Raja, is hunting. And so we asked, what about tomorrow? No, yesterday, no today, no tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So we went home by truck outside on the, I don't know what they had loaded, the truck. And we wandered going up the Tribhuvan highway, quite empty that time. Many black big cars coming down. And later I understood Mahendra got sick or fell sick, and it wasn't sure. I don't know if all the doctors came and the ministers came to find out what's going on. They kept secret that Mahendra died at a certain day, and they very quickly crowned, because that there's no chance of overthrow. And Korn was sitting at the corner near Hanuman Dhoka. Yeah.
What was the daily life of people? I mean, normal life for most people. Were they? I mean, because right now everybody is going to work, offices, this and that. For local people, what was it like?
I mean, normal locals doesn't exist. Even now, when I see the young people hanging around, because there is no work here. Why? How many people are working in Qatar and Malaysia? 7-8 million of the strongest, because no chance. And therefore, I think Nepal really will not develop. Many other countries too, because of overpopulation. Maybe you can feed yourself, but you can't give people work. Yeah. So my idea is, no one listens to me, you have to throw from going by plane, throwing condoms and ausadi for the women around the whole world. Otherwise you can't. Yeah. And there was a big difference. The Kathmandu people, youngs, they went to school. I think Bhaktapur youngsters only have been working the farm. I don't think that they had any chance to earn money, except you have been woodcarver, or I don't know any special profession. There have been no factory here. Yeah, nothing. And I always wondered, even now, from where do also you have the money to have a certain quality of life? It was then much, much poorer, and you depended on the field or the local products. No chance even to pay for Indian jam, strawberry jam, without strawberry in it, only sugar.
Did you by any chance come towards Lalitpur area, Patan area?
I came because of measuring also the first stupas and so on, but the main contact has been on my life, say New Road, Hanuman, Dhoka. Yeah, of course, I can still now go blindly through all cities, but don't know the toll names anymore. Yeah, so it was maybe not a very interesting thing to explain, but I learned much when going trekking to Everest with tamang porters, not with.
So how far in the Everest region did you go?
I wanted to go to base camp.
Okay.
And you must see that time maybe one exhibition every 2 years trying to climb. There was no run as now. It's crazy now. You pay 100,000 and 5 Sherpas carry you up. No, we wanted to be here, and we thought, being in Nepal, we have to use the chance to get near to it. And by some connections, we booked a flight with an expert, of course, or a member of Swiss government, towards Lukla in a 7-seater. And then everything was cancelled because of late rain. But we had booked, say, our holidays, so a friend of mine and me, we said, then we walk. The cook went to Bhaktapur to ask some tamangs who would like to do the trip, at least up to, say, Lukla or Namche Bazaar. I think, yes, we could go by bus to Naubisi or so. From there we walked. For 5 days rain, So we had only plastic sheets. We didn't have the equipment as now. So only a photo can tell you how poorly we had to walk. Never had experience with juga. Yeah, you had blood in your trouser, pants. Yeah, because those animals search for a good veen. Yeah, and the porters with naked feet or legs, they saw the juga coming, so they could pick them. Anyhow, we reached Lukla. Oh no, we had also the address of a rich, how do you call them, Lower Mustangi, living here. He must have been rich and influential. He gave us the name of his palace, so we stayed there for 2 days and then up to Namche Bazaar. And no plane in Lukla because the landing, how you call it, the strip wasn't strong enough for a plane, but we continued. And we had booked a Sherpa with the help of those rich people to guide us. And the 3 Tamang porters, Saila, Kansa, and I don't know, they said they want to earn more money, they don't want to be sent home. So we kept them. And Tangboche received even by the monk, the Lama, I measured a bit. And at one certain place, Ferice, won't tell you much, we got into snow. And we left because we didn't have equipment or shoes or so to go further. We left one porter with the things we really did not need in a hut and continued, and we learned in the morning, before the sun came, the top part of the snow was frozen. During day, melting, and then during night, frozen. So we could carefully walk, continue, and as soon the sun came and we got up to the chin into snow, so we could not go very far, but we reached Lobuche. We didn't realize that we are on the moraine of the main glacier with the deep gaps, and so we could have disappeared. And we stayed one day there, or 2 nights. We had hired a Tibetan refugee to carry a bit timber, but it was so cold that we had to take the door, wooden door, and cut it to pieces for the second night's fire during day. Nice. And as according to the map, the height of the hut has been 4,990 meters. So I had to make 5,000, no? So I climbed in the early morning, made my 5,000, came back, but we could not go back because of the melting snow. We had to wait for the next morning, and then I think within 3 hours, we covered the distance of 3 days of fighting up, collected our porter, continued down to Tangboche. There we met Swiss, not expedition, but say tourists. They wanted to go to base camp too. And they asked us, did you meet the 2 Germans? They didn't come back for a week. They must have died up there. They could not go as far as we because they got their 9 o'clock morning tea, started maybe 10, so no chance to go. And the 2 Miss Germans we have been. Yeah? And then we got, by chance, a flight back, supporters walked, our experience. But I'm not a climber. Yeah? I didn't have any experience, but of course, being here, we had to go direction Everest.
I think we're towards the end of our conversation as well. What was it like going away from Nepal, leaving Nepal? Do you remember the days leading up to the event?
I didn't write down, but maybe I just had the feeling, also because of my wife. She said, she doesn't have any chance to find a job here, and to sit around and seeing me working or earning money was not her thing. So we decided we do a long tour through India, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, up to Singapore, a long travel, farewell travel. And I think the most difficult part was to find someone for the cook, but we found someone else who took over my flat, and maybe I felt it's done somehow, yeah. And then with the family and getting a good job, finding a good job, and then the children, and then by chance to learn about senior expert service that I could come back. I never expected to come back.
How many years after you left did you come back for the first time?
From, say, 1970, it was 78 because I had to go because of appendix problem to Shantapavan. Also, long story. Say from 78 to 2013, how many years? 22
That's
plus.
35.
Yeah. Almost no contact, only my private writing the books, and then coming back in 13, and therefore I called it Katam. It was not my world, and the good luck, and therefore I came so often here, that I met KVPT in Rohit. Yeah, at the construction site, I felt at home. I knew what to do, what to care, and it was just pleasant. And how to say, I could stay in a nice place. Food has been improved, supply, yeah, and just therefore I called this my island of happiness, Patan Durbar Square. Of course, 15, the earthquake was a big problem. Yeah. But seeing now the result, and then having the book, and now I also feel, I don't want to tell it, Nepal, coming here, or I have, because of age, I have to do a cut. 2 years ago, the 23rd of March 2023, Rohit and me climbed the scaffolding of Digotaleju, and I felt a bit strange. He grabbed me into a car to Medicity, not to the, what is it, Nordic? Norvik. He said, traffic jam, we never reach in time, and hospital, I think I got drug or injection to keep calm. I only woke up when they asked me, do you accept a stent? Heart attack, and you don't know a stent?
No.
I know it, I knew it. One of the 3 arteries supplying or feeding the heart was blocked 100%.
Okay.
And I never expected that Nepali doctors could do or are equipped. And you have to find a big artery. In the beginning, they used it here in the, how you call it? And the long way up, they push would say a wired ring or something, constructed like this strong, and up to the blocked part, and they can blow, and inside is a kind of balloon. They blow it up so that the blood can run away. And so, very easy, I was asked if I would accept a stent. That means they are not And I knew they're not allowed to touch my body without my permission.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yes. And some hours later at night, I was pushed to the, how they call it, waking up area. And after 3 days, I went home full of ausadi.
What do you know? What caused it?
Cost?
What caused it? How
Yeah,
did it
it's
happen?
the wrong food.
Okay.
Special food, so therefore I have to swallow the ausadi.
Was it
Making the
cholesterol?
blood, yes.
Okay.
You see, we call it cholesterol, and starting to block or sit inside the vein or arteries, and they can block.
Mm.
And the doctor asked me if I wouldn't stay, because the second one is 80% blocked,
Okay.
only one. And I said, no, I want to go home, and I had the ticket. After 3 days, I could walk around. Everything was okay. At home, one of the girls is working for a hospital. We said we do a checkup, come to our cardiological department. I got checked, and I had gotten very good documentation, CD and everything. And at the end, they asked me, where did you get the operation? I said, in Kathmandu. They can do everything. They would not have changed anything. Even the 12 different pills. I didn't expect. And they also not. International pills you can get here, no change of recipe. And the doctors here said it was good that I have refused to get the second stent, as the location of the stent is near the confluence of two smaller ones. And if you make a mistake at one, you hurt the other one too.
Okay.
So they say, you can live for the rest of your life with 80% stent.
Okay.
So very, very good experience here. Very good treatment. Yeah, I can't complain. Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to be the end of it. Thank you so much for being here. And of course for the stories and the experience that you shared, because a lot of it is not documented. And especially the measurements, which was very helpful.
I thank you for giving me the chance, but I think it took so much of time talking. I don't want to be known only as an architect, but that I have quite a lot of contacts, to or with young Nepalis, and
Please show the audience the book as well, so that people are familiar with it. Can you show it on camera? Yeah.
Didn't we
This
do
camera.
before?
Yeah. So this is the book. One more time. You'll have to lift it up. Yep. So that's the book. It's going to be released by the time this episode is releasing.
Yes.
All right. Wishing you the best for that.
And one sentence. I will go to different bookstores or Kathmandu Guest House, Tarragon, Copa Engineering to give. They organize talks and book signing actions.
All
and
right.
I must thank Bakan that they took the book on as no other publisher dared to accept the theme. Yeah? Talking about my life and not being only an architect.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
I thank you.
All right.